And then I ended up in London for some strange reason. I ended up in London, and that was a proper shock, like, and not in a good way.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't think I was...
How old?
Huh?
How old were you here?
I was 25, 26.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think so. 27? It was in 2005. So
25, you will be 25, 26.
Yeah.
Yeah, 26.
And yeah, so I arrived here, and then suddenly I didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
Life was crazy expensive.
Yeah.
I have no jobs. I was like, oh God, what did I do? But I was like, this city is like, kind of, it felt like, you know, Barcelona felt like a family, being like so comforting, everything is easy, like, almost I felt like in Barcelona I didn't have crazy ambition, and when you face the wall of London, you're like, you're gonna have to survive here. And which I saw was like, that's gonna be hard, but definitely an interesting challenge, and yeah, major things happen in London, so it was a mix of being like, how I'm gonna do that, and also being quite excited. And in London, because of course you know, you have to eat and pay rent, I took hundreds of like crazy jobs, and I kind of at the beginning I really stopped doing art. So mentally it was quite hard, and I always have these memories of like being like, what did I do? But equally I can't go back to Barcelona. I need to do it. I need to go through this.
I guess for a number of years you've been in a flow where you've always been able to keep working and doing your work and doing your art, and then suddenly it's like reset. Yeah, I can't now. No. For at least a while. Yeah. And I guess you don't even know how long that's going to be until you can start.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And so that was a strange time, but I guess it built me a lot of resilience and a lot of like, how do you say, when you do crazy things because you have to. Yeah. Like almost survival mode. Yeah. And of course, you know, the fact to paint was like really itching me. I was like, I need to go back to it. So I found some crazy ways to come back to paint. Of course, I came back in the street, like purely illegally. I did a few paintings, which kind of like give me back the flavor of it. But I did one thing which I'm very proud of, is I was working in East London, selling stuff on the phone. It was really hard. But again, a good school. So at least that taught me English. Yeah. Because you have to. Yeah. And of course I love Gilbert and George. And I saw them in the street, and someone told me, oh, yeah, you know, they always go to this cafe. I was like, okay. So I plotted something. Basically, I told the cafe, hey, I know Gilbert and George, I would like to do a painting of them, and they agree with it. I was like, yeah, good, do it. And then I met them in the street, and I said, Oh,
you told the guy in the cafe that they'd agreed to do it?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And then I saw them, and I told them, oh, there is this cafe who really wants me to do a painting of you, would you like to do it? And I was like, yeah, okay. So I basically blacked both of them. And I ended up painting a portrait of Gilbert and George in Cafe 1001, and they came. And we did an inauguration, it was amazing.
Really?
Yeah, so that was like in 2006, maybe. And that really gave me back the buzz of like, okay,
I can do this.
I can do things.
There's a chance here.
There is a chance, yeah, definitely.
So do you remember what like significant pieces did you do? Do you remember at that kind of time, what were the pieces you thought that followed on, you know, paid pieces, commissions you thought, okay, now I'm developing, I'm growing, this is my place?
I guess it told me that in London, if you want to do things, you're gonna have to get them. Right. And yeah, no one is like knocking on the door, can you please come and do this?
Yeah, right.
So I started to paint on shutters, but again going to the shop and be like, hey, I can do a painting, like.
Because this is going back to that's your advertising. Going back to your comms course, right? You have to advertise yourself. This is your wall.
Yeah. Exactly. And after this, because luckily I managed to maintain lots of contact with people from Barcelona. I have a collaborator which I worked with for many years, who has now a gallery in Paris, and she made me travel a lot at this time. So every time I came back, I was lucky to go away, paint, come back, like kind of like finding the balance between, okay, I still need to eat and pay my rent, but I'm doing cool stuff at the same time. But equally, I guess the hard life of working in London was like, I need to break this circle, and I need to like sustain myself with my art. So I trained myself as a graphic designer. So I didn't go to any school. I learned graphic design on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then I found a really small agent, so like, can you take me on?
They're just up the road?
They were, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly. And so I started to work as a graphic designer, and I really loved the work because I was like, I could understand all the, again, having studied advertising and also understanding the public space, like how I could, link it all together. So that was, and also at the same time, I learned so much about constructing graphically, on all aspects. And during this time I really came back to like exhibiting, painting more murals. So yeah, it was still on the side, but it was becoming more and more and more. And one day I was like, cool, let's do the jump.
Yeah.
So that was a few years ago, and I guess it's only made me realize it's only if you do the jump that you can have the time to build more opportunities.
Yeah.
And yeah,
it's a catch-22.
It's a catch-22. Yeah.
Where are my opportunities going to be if I'm there? But only when you're there do you have the time, as you say, to go out and expose yourself and talk to people and be in that space, right?
Definitely, exactly. And which has led us to kind of now. So it's been a few years now where I just work on large-scale projects.
This is the culture for Changing City.
Oh yeah, I guess this is the very last one.
This is the last one, this is where we got to. We'll come back to that. What's your favourite kind of work to do? Because you said there are so multidisciplinary. What's your favourite thing? Is it a wall? Is it the paperwork?
I think I really love everything.
Oh really?
That's the thing. And slowly, of course I'm doing lots of different things, but I can see kind of like connection between everything. And so I guess every time I work with one discipline, I take something else from another discipline to bring into it. But definitely my favorite work is work in the public space. Definitely. And as much as possible, it doesn't have to be public because I showed you a mural like indoors. I love also indoor space because you got these other places you can play with. So I think it's more painting with space. That's probably my favorite thing to do, definitely. And also because it means that you have to understand the space, you have to understand the people around the space, you have to, and what you are going to bring is going to influence how people feel. So I'm not just going and do my own stuff.
It changes the environment.
It changed with the environment, definitely, but I guess what I keep in common is really bold colors. I love colors. Hopefully freshness into the film and a sense of geometry, which doesn't have to be symmetrical, but there is a part of building into the work that I really enjoy doing. And all the work I do, I barely arrive in a place and like start to paint. It's not improvised work. I calculate the work.
Yeah.
I think about it, and most of the time I mock it up before to see if that could work. So the pre-production is actually the creative part.
So the video of you preparing the William Morris, you did that full size preparation. Where did you do that? I've always wondered this. You did a full-size cutout somewhere on the floor, right?
Yeah.
Where was that?
I could. Well, I guess for the William Morris, that was a very interesting project because he brought another dimension to my work, which I also developed extensively, which is to work within a community.
Yeah.
And this Wood Street Wall project was like, we thought with Mark, it was an amazing idea. Because William Morris was like a socialist, a man who really believed everyone should have access to beauty, education.
Despite the fact that he had a massive house.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and a lot of riches.
Definitely. But I guess, of course, he had the luxury to be able to be a socialist. We can put it that way. But I still admire the fact that it's better than to be like, you know what, I just want.
Of course.
Yeah.
We live by the mantra of everything being functional and beautiful.
Yeah.
What's the point of either or?
Totally, yeah. But so it was important to get the community involved in this project, and also the local community. So we worked with the William Morris Ward, which is like all around the gallery. We found a way to basically suggest 6 patterns from William Morris for the background.
Yeah.
Which was posted to 5,000 homes with this postcard, with like all 6 mock-ups.
Yeah.
And also there was a garden party where we met thousands of people, and every one by one we explained the project and be like, which one would you like to see? We make all the votes, and we ended up with the willow bow patterns, which I absolutely love. Yeah. And and I guess in the sense is if you have promised to the community this is going to be this visuals, and you better do it exactly as you promised. So so the artwork was done pretty much to centimeters, calculating everything, and then it was a pure replication, like scaling up something big like this. So
I think what's incredible as well, or it's a point of difference you said about, is how the art kind of fits in with the environment. So rather than it just sort of being on a wall, it's like the one on Pub Gods and Junkyard. It's not just on a wall, it brings an otherwise dead piece of wall suddenly into the environment, and it's like, it's the William Morris one as well, just even though it's the side of a house, it's a car park and there's these trees, and everybody has the same experience. You walk past the gallery, the trees sort of open up and it just kind of peeks through.
the trees makes the frame.
They do. The God's Own Junkyard, you only see it from certain views, but when you come, suddenly it brings what would otherwise just be nothing.
Yeah.
Suddenly to life, it's not just on the road.
Yeah.
So I love so many of your pieces do seem to just bring an extra dimension out
you.
of where they are. But it's true, you know. And they're cropping up all over London, and I think it's also interesting to see how people start to recognise it more with some of the work you're doing as well. So if I talk to people about work we've done, and they say, oh yeah, and why would you expect someone in the street who doesn't take that much of an interest in art, but they like what they see, to actually know the artist behind it, unless they read Up by the Chimney Pot.
Yeah.
But as soon as you say, oh, the artist who did this piece, oh, I love that piece. I love that. There's so much, and then start to connect the dots. The clapping hands by the side of the doctor's surgery, down by Shermall, now Artie Pasta's next door, and suddenly you become this map, and people start to recognise it more, and it sort of surfaces your name as well a bit more, and I think people are starting to recognise your work so much more. It's awesome. I love it.
Oh, thank you.